Hi there, thanks for taking it up with us here on Golf Central. I'm Todd Lewis. The final major championship of 2020 is on the books this week in Houston. It is the U.S. Women's Open taking place at Champions Golf Club. The USGA moving this championship to December because of the COVID-19 break earlier in the year. Now, this is an interesting championship because of daylight restrictions, and so the USGA making the decision to use two courses for the first 2 days, the Jackrabbit and Cypress Creek courses, with Cypress Creek hosting the final 2 rounds after a cut is established. This is the first time ever the U.S. Women's Open will have competition on 2 golf courses. Tee times are out. We begin on the Jackrabbit course. Brittany Lansicombe will play alongside Christy Kerr and Dorina Pillar. Kerr injured last week at the Volunteers of America Classic after a nasty golf cart accident. Right now, she's still in this championship. The pride of Canada, Brooke Henderson, will tee off with Cho and Salas off the 11th at 11:37 a.m. Eastern. Lydia Ko, Se-Young Kim, who also is a 2-time winner on tour this year, and Brittany Altamari will go off at 11:48 on number 10, and just before noon, NB Park will start her quest for an 8th major title, playing alongside Erju Tonegard and Soyeon Yu. On the Cypress Creek course, 2-time winner and race to the CME Globe leader Danielle Kang will tee off alongside Anna Nordquist and Jin Young Ko at 11:37 a.m. Eastern on the 1st. On the 10th, it's Lee Six, accomplished amateur Gabriella Ruffles, and last year's Women's British Open champion Anako Shibuno. Just before noon Eastern, Jessica Corder will tee off alongside Amy Yang and Georgia Hall on the 1st. Jessica's sister Nellie will tee off on at the same time on 10 alongside Lexi Thompson and Hee Jung Lim. And for more on Lexi, I'm going to send it out to Lisa Cornwell, who has an update and a connection with Bryson DeChambeau.
Well, Todd, here's the story we weren't expecting coming into the weekend. It involves Bryson DeChambeau. Now, we've known for quite some time that Lexi and Bryson have had a little bit of a history. They share the same agent. 4 years ago, they played in the QBE together down in Naples. Well, this week it's going to be a little bit more of a shared thing, if you will, because Bryson's longtime bagman, Tim Tucker, is on the bag for Lexi Thompson. We caught up with Lexi. We saw him out on the golf course really working well together. They've known each other for quite some time. Lexi told us she's really excited about the week ahead with Tim.
It's great to have Tim on the bag. I know he's used to doing a lot more numbers and a lot more calculating, but he's still doing it for me. He's just not letting me know the numbers. But it's great to have him on the bag. I really just appreciate him being out there. He's such a nice guy, and I look for in a caddy my best friend, so I'm always communicating, either cracking jokes or just talking about my shots and everything. So I really just want my best friend to be there on the bag.
How's it been like just sort of adapting to what you're going to get used to in competition with him out there, and really sort of understanding the way he works and you understanding vice versa? Yeah,
of course. Yesterday was a good test day. I played full 18 yesterday, and there was a few things that I think I needed to change with him and just talk out, and we went through breakfast talking it out and what I wanted to go on today, and it was great. I thought today went great with Tim, and we have 9 more holes tomorrow, so we'll figure it out by Thursday.
Lexi Thompson also has something in common with the woman next to me, Karen Stupples, both major champions. How about that? Tim Tucker on the bag. We were out there watching him. Seemed like a very casual sort of working relationship. Your thoughts on the two of these together?
Honestly, I think it's a really good fit. I think that Tim is used to a very aggressive player in Bryson, and sometimes he probably has to rein him back just a little bit. I think with Lexi, he's going to get a very similar type of player. I think Lexi ideally wants to play courses aggressively, but feels a little bit handicapped sometimes when she plays in women's tournaments because of her distance. So that'll be fun for her to have him on the bag, probably encouraging her to really go for a few things and to be aggressive. I mean, let's face it, Bryson won at Winged Foot playing fairly aggressively, so hopefully he can bring that out in Lexi too. But something a little different for Tim as well. Lexi does not carry a yardage book, so he's going to be the man with all the information for Lexi, and I think that's going to be vitally important. He'll be able to give her all those little nuggets of information that he would be sharing with Bryson, and I think that's going to help her out, especially on these greens. The greens on the Cypress Creek course, they're massive, and I think his expertise out there will come in very handy.
It was great because we were talking to Tim after they finished their practice round today, and it kind of seemed a little bit like a kid in a candy store. You could tell he's really really impressed with Lexi's game. That partnership out there and the trust that Lexi has in him, dive a little bit deeper into that and how much you really think she'll utilize him.
I think it's going to be huge. I mean, ultimately, as a player, you have to buy in 100% to what the person carrying your bag is actually telling you to do. She knows that he has all the experience. She knows that what he's told Bryson over the years, and having had that close relationship with them from the QBE shootout, I really feel that it's important for her to buy into what he's saying, and I think she will. I think she trusts him. The fact that she doesn't have a yardage book still, you know, she hasn't decided to put one in her bag just in case she doesn't think what he's saying is right. She trusts him already, and I think it's going to be huge.
Tim is such a positive guy, too, and I will say this. I loved it because he was not only bragging about her length and accuracy off the tee, he talked about how well she's rolling the golf ball, too. So it's going to be interesting to watch these two navigate these two different golf courses. Speaking of the two different courses, we'll hear from Lexi and some other players about the preparation for the week ahead a little bit later in the show.
Lisa, Karen, thank you very much. How about that? Tim Tucker could be on the bag for U.S. Open champion at Bryson DeChambeau and a U.S. Women's Open champion if that happens with Lexi Thompson. Here's a look at the current standings in the race to the CME Globe. Danielle Kang, a two-time winner on the LPGA Tour. She leads the way. NB Park in second. Se-Young Kim, also a two-time winner on tour, and they're sitting in 10th place. Cracking the top 10 is veteran Stacey Lewis. Speaking of veterans, here's our friend Tripp Eisenhower to talk about the women's game. And this is a big week. Some say it is the biggest championship in women's golf, the U.S. Women's Open. But some may be looking ahead to next week. That is the CME Group Tour Championship, the season-ending event. A lot of money on the line there. Some big-time players got to get there first.
They are. I mean, it's a crucial 2 weeks, and really that carrot of $1 million in Naples is sitting there for those that get there and get the chance to play. But yes, to your point, Todd, there are some surprising names on the outside of the bubble. Now, the bubble's normally 70 in points. But keep in mind, Marina Alex is injured, so she's not committed to the field. She's sitting at 5th in the standings, so her spot will be taken up by the 71st person, which is Brittany Lincecum at this point. And then Allie Ewing is going to her brother's wedding, and she's inside the top 70 as well, so she's not going to be there. So that moves it down to 72. But Ariya Jutanugarn has not played well this year at all. Charlie Hall did play well last week, but when I look at those names, like, let's keep in mind, too, Todd, they have 2 sponsors exemptions that they're expected to announce this week, probably on Thursday. It would be very hard for me to not see Jin Young Ko, world number 1, not getting one of those spots. So I think there might be a little pressure off, but the problem is they might have to name that before the U.S. Women's Open starts, so she would know if she's in the field or not, so that might take some pressure off of her. But then you look at the defending U.S. Women's Open champion, who I think has one of the best swings in the game. Lee Six, her golf swing is impeccable. But if there's one person I think could play her way in, it's Popoff at 81. She's the Women's Open champion, and I definitely think the way she putts and that low draw that she hits will play well at Champions. I definitely think to look for her to be one of the ones to move in for sure.
It would be tough to not have a major champion from this year playing in the final event on the LPGA Tour.
Very hard to see.
We shall see what happens. By the way, you can watch all the action from the U.S. Women's Open on 3 platforms on Golf Channel. Our coverage beginning on 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Then Saturday at 2:30 Eastern Time, NBC will pick it up. You can also watch the action on Peacock. Major championship and major homework for the players competing in this year's U.S. Women's Open. Our Lisa Cornwell is in Houston and explains.
Well, Todd, this week will be a first in major championship history, playing 2 separate golf courses the first 2 rounds before the cut. And it's because this championship's being played in December, a full field. You have limited daylight, so the USGA forced to make this decision. Thankfully, here on property, players love both courses, albeit different styles. We talked to the players today about their preparations and the challenges having to get ready for 2 separate venues.
It's very different, 2 different golf courses for a major championship. So getting ready, you know, it's a lot more. It's 18 holes for 2 days usually for the practice round. So that's obviously different for me. I usually just do 9 and Pro-Am. So it's different there, but it's great. The 2 golf courses are in amazing shape. They're very challenging, playing difficult and long, so which I like. So it'll be interesting come Thursday to see how it plays.
I play these golf courses so much. It's 25 minutes from my house, so for me it's a lot different than everybody else. You know, I have a lot of knowledge of these golf courses already, so it's been nice to just be able to kind of work on my game and work on little chip shots around the greens, but learning the golf courses is the easiest part of this week for me.
Well, they're both really long, which is really good for me, so that's great. Jackrabbit seems to be a little bit easier. Cypress seems to have the greens, if you miss it left, it seems a lot of the holes you're going to hit it in the water. So it's a major, it's the U.S. Open, so middle of the green on every hole is going to be really key.
Who better to ask about preparing for a major than our major champion? Look, you get it. You understand the time, the thought process, all the details that go into it. It's interesting because you talk to players, some laid back, some really taking this challenge head on. What are the difficulties?
I think honestly, as a player coming into the US Open, you really want to focus all your attention on the one course. You want to spend a lot of time on that Cypress Creek. You want to make sure it's right, because ultimately you're playing 3 rounds of golf on that course. But the caveat is you have to play 1 round of golf on the other course. And I think most of the players really understand that you can't win it on the other course, but you can definitely lose it over there. And I think for the most part, players understand that, so they want to give it as much due as they need to. And so they're spending time going over there, which takes away the time and preparation from the other course. But I do also think that when you think about the 2 courses, players are also very mindful of which order they play them in as well. I think that the players who play the Jackrabbit course on the second day will have a bit of an advantage, because they will get to see where the hole locations are. They might even be able to watch a few highlights of some of the shots into those flags and into those greens. And I think that'll be huge for the players moving forward and giving them a bit of confidence. So watch out for the players that play that course second. I think they have a bit of an edge.
It's interesting because driving around these 2 different courses, completely different styles, although same grass,
Yes.
same conditions, but one is open, huge greens, one is extremely tight, small greens. If you miss the greens out here, any place, it's a challenge. How do you see these setting up and maybe an advantage for one type of player or the other?
I think because you have the both courses, it really doesn't give any one type of player an advantage. The player that hits the most quality shots will be the one, obviously, that takes home the trophy. Putting well is going to be a must with the bigger greens. Avoiding 3 putts will be huge. But I also think that when you go and play the Jackrabbit, there's a lot of out of bounds out there. Very tight, narrow fairways. If anybody's ever played Orange Tree in Orlando, it's just like that around that front 9. And quite frankly, you've really got to keep your drive straight. And you're going to have to make adjustments on the fly. You're going to have to be very versatile with your shot decisions around the greens. That's one thing I do know, that people that are very creative will do well on this course as well.
You had me at Orange Tree. Tight, tough. I'm glad I'm watching,
Yes.
not playing. Steps, thanks a lot. We'll enjoy the weekend. Look, I have to say credit to the agronomist here, the golf course superintendent staff. This place looks absolutely beautiful. The players and the fans watching at home, in for a huge treat, Todd.
By the way, Rex Hogger, GolfChannel.com senior writer, reporting that the 2026 President's Cup will take place at Medina Country Club. I'm Todd Lewis. We'll see you.